Are Democrat leaders turning on Barack Obama? Is the Democratic Party starting to turn on Mr. Barack Obama himself? And if so, what does this mean for Barack Obama's legacy? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think it was only a matter of time. Barack Obama himself has been very pivotal in helping Democrat candidates during their presidential races, even some of these gubernatorial races as well. But it appears that things may be starting to change. Democrat strategists are pointing fingers at different people. They're trying to find anyone to blame except for Kamala Harris as for the reason why Kamala Harris lost this election. They've been pointing fingers at Joe Biden. They've been pointing fingers at the voters, which I always said is absolutely a bad idea. Terrible idea. They've been doing that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it appears that some of them may be pointing fingers at Barack Obama. Now, I'm all for this. I'm here for this moment because I have been so tired of Barack Obama coming around, making all these appearances, shaming voters, telling people that they should just go along with the Democrat candidate because they're not Donald Trump, even if that candidate is not offering any real change for the American people. It was Barack Obama, I want to remind you, that told Bernie Sanders to step aside and let Joe have this one during 2020 presidential campaign when Bernie Sanders was running in the Democrat primary. It's been Barack Obama who has been pulling strings behind the scenes. It was Barack Obama who was a part of the Democrat coalition to tell Biden, you need to step aside because you can't win. And we ended up with Kamala Harris, and that was proven to be a disaster. Turns out, not only did the Democratic Party lose the Electoral College in 2024, they also lost the popular votes. Why? Why are people pointing their fingers at Barack Obama? Well, all you have to do is just to go back to this clip when Barack Obama was blaming Black men for not coming out in strong support for Kamala Harris. Just a reminder, just to refresh yourself. Here we go.
Communities is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers.
More pronounced with the brothers. Yes, it was this statement here by Barack Obama that really rubbed people the wrong way, myself included. And now Democrat strategists are accusing Barack Obama as one of the reasons why Kamala Harris lost this race. What does this mean for Barack Obama's so-called legacy? And I've continued to say for over the years, I think Barack Obama's legacy is Donald Trump. Because Barack Obama's presidency, his refusal to codify Roe v. Wade, even though he ran on it, his refusal to actually do something significant for the American people, Obamacare was a disaster. His refusal to shape economic policy in such a way that the American people can have an upswing after the 2008 housing crisis. Black wealth tanked under Barack Obama's presidency. Never forget that. These are the types of things that I've continued to say that allowed someone like Donald Trump to win. So when Barack Obama stands there and says, we're not seeing the numbers that we saw during my presidency, that ought to tell you something. There was something about you that told the American people, let's not go for this again. Let's not fall for this again. This identity politics candidate, just because they're running on, their identity and they're not Donald Trump. Let's not fall for this again. So I would put that blame on Barack Obama. We're going to finish this clip here, and then I want to get to the news about why Democrats are now behind the scenes. They're pointing fingers at Barack Obama. Let's continue here.
So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly and say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences. He's had to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land.
So again, and I've talked about this before, she did not grow up like us. That's one thing. We can just set that to the side. But let's say that she did. Let's say that Kamala Harris did grow up like us. Is that reason enough to why you should support someone? Damn the policies, right? Damn the policies. Forget about policy. Let's not talk about that. Let's just focus on someone who kind of looks like you and may have sort of grown up like you. That speech there from Barack Obama really hit a nerve with a lot of people. And now it appears that is part of the reason why Democrat strategists, apparently people are pushing back, pointing fingers at Barack Obama. Now, this is from the Daily Mail, so always keep that in mind. I told you how they can be sometimes, but this is very detailed, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I want to remind everybody, none of this was said when Kamala Harris was still running for president. None of these things were said. Everybody's speaking now because Kamala lost. I want you to ask yourself what would have happened if Kamala Harris won. You wouldn't hear any of this. But because she lost, and because not just because she lost, but because she lost by a landslide and the way that she lost after having all these celebrities up on the stage, Beyonce, Meg Thee Stallion, etc., making it seem like there was a tremendous amount of support for her when there really wasn't. It is embarrassing for the Democratic Party. So now everybody's looking for someone to blame. And this is what's coming down the pipeline for Barack Obama. It says Obama's biographer reveals ex-president fears for his legacy after tone-deaf preaching harmed Harris's campaign. So we're going back to that speech that I told you guys about. Now it goes on to say here, let me make this a little bit larger for you guys. Yeah, let's do the darn thing. It goes on to say here, Barack Obama and his wife, Michelle, have been slammed by his biographer for talking down to visitors in a tone-deaf and clueless preaching that harmed Kamala Harris' ill-fated presidential campaign. So they're even adding Michelle to this mix as well. I want to see if I can do this so that you guys can... Sorry, with the Daily Mail, sometimes with their articles, I don't know why it goes all the way over to the left like that, but it does. So I guess not. I'll just go back in here. So listen to this. The effect was so bad that combined with Donald Trump's victory, it is likely to reduce the 44th president's political relevance to Bill Clinton levels, David Garrow said in an exclusive interview with the DailyMail.com. He goes on to say that people do not want to be talked down to, no matter who they are. That's coming from 71-year-old Pulitzer Prize winner. I thought it was tone deaf and clueless for them to preach as they did, he told the Daily Mail. And see, this is what we were saying, right? I would expect the perception will be shared by lots of people. If so, I think it reduces their relevance to Bill Clinton territory. And this is, crazy at this point in time. Barack Obama is still beloved by a lot of people. I would say Michelle Obama probably has a higher approval than Barack Obama does. But I think a lot of people, in particular in the Black community, we kind of caught on to who Barack Obama was, and we really don't care to hear from him. We don't care for him to come and wag his finger at us. We don't care for him to preach to us and talk down to us and tell us what we should do. And especially considering, as I said before, that black wealth tanked under Barack Obama's presidency. So every now and then when Barack Obama appears and he starts wagging his finger at us, I'm just kind of like, meh, yeah, I don't care what you have to say, because you were president for two terms in a row. He was president for 8 years. What did you do to improve things for the black community? Now, there were things that you did for dreamers. There were things that you did for immigration in this country to help those who are dreamers. When it comes to the black community, what did you do? What did you do? You chose to bail out Wall Street instead of black elders who lost their homes. So it's things like this. You went to Flint, Michigan and pretended to drink dirty water and told the black people in the room that the water was clean when it was not clean. So this ego that Barack Obama has and has had for quite some time, I think that it's finally starting to get crushed by people from within his own party. And that's why this is significant. Let's go on a little bit more here. And you can see there's Barack Obama with Kamala on the stage there. And of course, there's that video where he scolds voters there. He goes on to say here that Garrow wrote the 2017 biography, Rising Star, The Making of Barack Obama. He won his Pulitzer for an earlier book on MLK. So this is the gentleman who wrote the biography about Barack Obama, letting people know this is a rising star. He predicted that the Obamas will now largely vanish from the political scene to hang out with celebrities on Martha's Vineyard. Garrow said Tuesday's electoral rout has left Obama, 63, nervous about the impact Trump could have on how he is seen by future generations. So not the impact that, Trump could have by being president, but the impact that Trump could have on how he is seen, how Barack Obama is seen by future generations. So this is all about Obama's legacy. There's a lot of ego when it comes to Barack Obama. It goes on to say he has been and remains extremely concerned and nervous about his historical legacy. This is an ego project here for Barack Obama, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about him. Kamala Harris losing the presidency is not so much about her losing than it is about Barack Obama and how it makes him look. Does everybody get this? It's all about how people perceive him, not how people perceive Kamala Harris, not how people perceive the Democratic Party as a whole and how they have failed with working class people in this country. It's all about how does this make Barack Obama look? Similar to after Hillary Clinton's loss, similar thing where Barack Obama was furious that he basically had handed this over to her and she lost to Donald Trump. And now here's another one. Okay. So it goes on to say that has certainly taken a big hit with Trump once again triumphing. One of the major pillars of Obama's political legacy is the Affordable Care Act, which brought health insurance to millions and outlawed denial of coverage for pre-existing conditions. Obama has been intensely aware of Trump's repeated attempts to repeal the law. Trump issued an executive order in 2017 aimed at rolling it back, but failed to push the plan through Congress. He called the act lousy and said he was working to replace it during his presidential debate with Harris in September. Now, I want to bring up something as well. Let's all remember that even Obamacare was basically like it was a lighter, weaker version of universal health care, right? Because originally he was saying everybody should have health care when he was running for office, but he decided to back away from that and to push something that would appease Republicans. Meanwhile, he actually could have just tried to pass universal health care when he had both the House and the Senate the first 2 years that he was there. Same thing with Roe v. Wade. He could have abolished the filibuster. There are many ways I can discuss how Barack Obama was not effective when he was president of this country. But again, this is all on purpose. People need to understand this is by design. They don't plan to do everything anyway because they need to have something to run on the next time. This is part of the reason why Democrats had over 50 years to codify Roe v. Wade and they chose not to do it. They need to have something to run on the next time. So they're not really trying to fix anything. So keep that in mind. Now he goes on to say here, there's a picture of him and Michelle. I mean, this is just wow. It says the biographer and historian added that he believes that disastrous election result for Democrats means they will no longer want the Obamas front and center in future campaigns. The conclusion for Democrats is that they've got to dispense with these people from the past, including Hillary Clinton too, and move to a new generation of figures who are not in the AOC club at all. He said, referring to the left-wing firebrand Congresswoman AOC. But the writer predicted that Barack still has enough star power to pull in large speaking fees. He is all about money, such as $400,000 he was paid for a single 2017 speech by Wall Street firm Cantor Fitzgerald. So you see, this is all about what makes Barack Obama look good. I'm not sure that would necessarily decline. He still has a celebrity factor of being an ex-president. The author said he expected the Obamas to continue to hang out with celebrities and live on Martha's Vineyard, the millionaire's playground island off the coast of Massachusetts. And I live here in Massachusetts, and he is correct there. And I will just say this as well. It is because of people like Barack Obama and other celebrities that have moved to Martha's Vineyard that is part of the reason why Martha's Vineyard is too expensive and too, unaffordable for everyday working class people today. Once upon a time, not everyone that grew up on Martha's Vineyard was wealthy. Similar situations with a place like Jackson Hole, Wyoming. That was a working class town in Wyoming. And once celebrities started buying houses there, it became unaffordable for working class people who were from there. So I just want to mention that so people understand. But back to the Millionaires Club. I certainly expect them to be spending less time in Washington after early January, he said. Good. This needs to happen. They don't need to get out of stay away from campaigns. Stay away from campaigns, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what happened here. Let's see. Because the reality is Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, I think at this point, they need to stay away from political campaigns. I don't necessarily agree with, I don't know how to say this, but I don't necessarily agree with these, ex-politicians coming back from the dust to help, candidates. I don't necessarily agree with that. And I don't think that this is always a good idea. And I think that the Democratic Party, and like I said, where people are really melting down, you guys, like I'm not joking, the Democratic Party really needs to regroup. I think Nancy Pelosi needs to retire. Chuck Schumer needs to retire. Bernie Sanders needs to retire. All these people that are above retirement age, I think they need to retire. I think they need to allow new leadership to take foothold in the Democratic Party. And I also think, again, this party as a whole needs to back away from AIPAC. I want free public elections in this country. I don't think any politician should be taking corporate money or money from the military industrial complex or the Israeli lobby. I don't think any of that should be a part of electoral politics in this country, because you don't end up serving the people, you end up serving your donors. So there's that. But I think the Democratic Party needs to go in a completely different direction. And that is not going to change as long as Wall Street and the military industrial complex controls the party, and as long as you keep the same leadership in place. All these people need to retire. Barack Obama needs to stay away from political campaigns and just live his life out with the millionaires, as they just said, on Martha's Vineyard. That's the thing. At the end of the day, when things don't work out and when these candidates don't win, Barack Obama goes back to his mansion. Barack Obama goes back to his elite club, his bubble, his circle, and you really don't have to see him again until there's another presidential election. A lot of these people are disconnected from the working class. And it is very apparent that the Democratic Party is disconnected from the working class. And that's part of the reason why they're losing those voters to people like Donald Trump. Something has to change. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.